from downtown Detroit. Local 4 News at 11 starts now.
Patience running thin tonight for thousands of Metro Detroiters as they face another night without power. DTE Energy continues its efforts to get power back on to all its customers. Thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Kimberly Gill.
I'm Devin Skillian. Last week's ice storm caused widespread outages across southeast Michigan, of course.
Last check, 97% of customers have power tonight, so that leaves about 49,000 still in the dark.
Well, tonight, DTE is offering a $35 credit for customers who've been without power for more than 96 hours. They say there's no need to apply. The credit will be automatically applied to customers who are eligible for it. We'll see how that goes over with those customers. But in the meantime, it's providing little consolation for many who are still waiting.
Yeah, I mean, like this woman in Westland. She spent the last 5 days without power after that storm. You'll hear from her and others in her neighborhood in just a moment. But the frustration level is growing simply because these mass power outages, which last for days, are not uncommon.
It's ice right now, but in 2021 it was wind. Same in 2019, 2017, and patience has run out with customers, but elected leaders too. Mara McDonald live downtown at DTE's headquarters, not too far from where we're sitting right here in our studios. What now, Mara?
So, Devin, immediately you know that the Michigan Public Service Commission has an ongoing audit into DTE's infrastructure, and it's pretty clear by how vocal legislators have been that hearings are going to happen into DTE's response to this storm. Let me show you. DTE is defending its performance since last Wednesday.
We're dealing with a significant ice storm, the largest ice storm in our company's history, and the second largest in over 120 years.
We've been all over Metro Detroit since the storm hit, and I can tell you the customers' critique of this performance is frustration on the lower end of the spectrum to outright rage on the upper.
They should be ashamed of themselves. There's no excuse for this.
The utility says it's going to automatically give $35 credits to customers who lost power for more than 96 hours, something AG Dana Nessel called on DTE to do earlier today. But Nessel, members of our congressional delegation as well as the state legislature, say this performance by DTE is unacceptable and it needs to change.
It's time that they finally address the issue and just invest in a serious way to upgrade the grid, to bury the lines, and to ensure that they're being transparent with customers.
The utility says it invested $1 billion in the grid, which translated to 21% fewer power interruptions in 2022. That said, DTE's reliability is still rated poorly by third parties. Back here live, also important to point out that DTE went to the Michigan Public Service Commission last year looking for a $388 million rate increase. It got a small portion of what it was looking for, to the tune of $30 million. That's why it is back again this year in front of the MPSC, looking for $622 million. We're live downtown tonight at DTE headquarters. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
Timing is tough. All right, Mara.
It really is. Well, tonight we're hearing from more frustrated Metro Detroiters who are set to spend another night in the dark. One woman was given false hope when DTE said her power was actually restored, but it wasn't. Pamela Osborne joins us live in Westland with more on her story. Pamela.
Well, Kimberly, this is Link Street in Westland in this neighborhood. You can hear a generator buzzing. When we first got here, you could smell wood burning, a fire, how somebody was trying to keep warm. Over on this side of the street, you can see they have power. That, of course, added to the optimism of the rest of the neighbors here in this neighborhood that their power would be restored. But as you can see, it's still dark over here as these folks go on to day 6 now without power.
For after a week of absolute suffering, this has been a nightmare. It's been unhealthy.
For Karen Lanou, it's going on day 6 without power, without heat.
I mean, we have no relief. It's miserable.
We met her outside of her Westland home, which has been without power since Wednesday's ice storm. The light she wore around her neck, the winter coat, and that scarf is what she says she's been wearing inside her home to stay warm while she waits for her service to be restored.
There's no excuse for DTE to not be able to get the power back after this long.
She became even more frustrated after the latest update from DTE.
I received an email communication indicating that my power had been restored, but that they were unable to read my meter. And well, of course, the reason for that was because I had not been restored.
Lanu says she had to re-report that outage to DTE.
And when I see interviews with DTE, they talk about how fantastic they're doing, but they seem to have forgotten about the last so many thousands of people, the 60,000 that are out.
She wants answers and says she and her neighbors deserve better.
This was one ice storm. Yes, it was a bad ice storm, but why a week later can you still be in the dark, in the cold, in the winter?
And she mentioned that $35 credit that DTE is offering to its customers who've been without power for an extended period of time. It's simply not good enough for her. $35, she's saying it's not even enough to get a hotel room. Maybe it'll cover a meal, but then it's been several days that she hasn't been able to do much of anything inside of her own house, which she says is at 40 degrees. We did reach out to DTE on her behalf to see when they may have their power restored. We're still waiting to hear back. For now, reporting live in Westland, I'm Pamela Osborne, Local 4.
Frustrating and unhealthy, as she said. 40 degrees in her house right now. Pam, we appreciate it. Well, the EPA has halted all shipments of toxic waste from the East Palestine train derailment.
That will put an end to the massive shipments that have already ended up at Republic Services in Romulus. Local officials raised the alarm last week, saying they had no notice that waste was being brought here in the first place. The waste that is put under groundwater to treat could now end up spreading to other places.
And it moves. And so it not only stays in Romulus, it goes on over to Taylor, it goes over to Westland, it goes to, who knows where it goes.
5 shipments were heading to Michigan, but they were ordered to turn around. The man charged in the attack that killed WWJ news anchor Jim Matthews is headed to trial. Arthur Williamson is accused of attacking Matthews, his girlfriend, and their 2 children. It happened last September in Matthews' Chesterfield Township home. Prosecutors believe Williamson was a guest in the home and have described him even as a family friend. Matthews died from his injuries. His girlfriend and 2 children survived. Williamson faces several charges, including first-degree murder.
New at 11, Detroit police arrest a man who they say shot at officers. We've learned Tyler Hood was arrested tonight in Novi. Police believe Hood got into a car with a weapon near Linden and Brammells. This was Saturday night. When they tried to pull the car over, officers say he fired shots at officers. After a short chase, police say Hood got out and ran. We will have an update on possible charges soon, and as we get that, we'll give it to you.
Congresswoman Elissa Slotkin says she plans to run for the open state Senate, or not state Senate, but Senate seat in Michigan. The Democrat was first elected to Congress in 2018. There's a lot of speculation about other high-profile candidates who might run, but the only other person to formally announce so far is Republican Nikki Snyder, a state Board of Education member. Senator Debbie Stabenow, of course, announced last month she would not be seeking a 5th term in the U.S. Senate. An emotional evening tonight on the campus of Michigan State
University lighting the Beaumont Tower in green for the victims in the campus shooting 2 weeks ago. Our Tim Pamplin was there for the tribute.
A couple dozen people made their way to the Beaumont Tower on the campus of Michigan State University. 2 weeks to the minute of that awful evening here on campus as the clock ticked to 8:15. MSU Shadows, the university hymn, played out through the bell tower. And then at 8:18 precisely, 8 bells tolled around the campus for Brian, for Ariel, and Alexandria. 5 more tolled for those hospitalized after the shootings. And then the tower was bathed in green. They're staying Spartan strong. That is the scene on campus tonight in East Lansing. Tim Pamplin, Local 4.